Hello, and welcome to the GRACE podcast series. My name is Denise Brock, and I am the Operations Director for the Global Resource for Advancing Cancer Education, or GRACE. In this podcast series, we interview patients, advocates, and healthcare professionals to provide the most updated information for our community and to highlight important issues facing those dealing with a cancer diagnosis. We hope you find this information valuable. For questions or comments, please visit us at cancergrace.org.
Hello, I'm Jared Weiss, Associate Professor of Medicine at UNC's Lineberger Comprehensive Cancer Center and Vice President at cancergrace.org. And it's my privilege to talk to you today about new TKIs for stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. If you followed this space at all before, you know that we love to show our patient demographics in pie charts. And so if we start with non-small cell lung cancer as a whole, adenocarcinoma represents about 55%, and we subdivide adenocarcinoma into the mutations that are particularly important for driving the cancer. You've seen lots of content here on Cancer Grace about EGFR, ALK, ROS1, and others, and I want to talk to you today about some new TKIs for other indications. And I want to start with MET. MET has a long history of failed trials in lung cancer, but we've more recently started to have some success. Initially, hints of success with crizotinib, and now much more so with more selective TKIs, such as capmatinib, which has FDA approval. You're looking here at the geometry phase 2 data, looking at patients with MET-del14 mutation, which represents about 4% of adenocarcinoma of the lung. And you see here with the drug, a response rate of 68%, good responses in the brain, and durability that reaches the threshold to be true targeted therapy. As well, the agent is quite a bit less toxic than chemotherapy and represents an exciting new option for our MET-del14 patients. Further, the agent, as well as its competitors, are being studied for high-level MET amplification, and I think there's real promise there in the most amplified patients, which would add targeted therapy to another 2% or so of our patients. RET is a gene rearrangement that affects about 4% of adenocarcinoma of the lung. Selpercatinib is a very selective TKI against the target. As a consequence, the side effect profile is extremely favorable. You're looking here at 105 patients with prior platinum doublet exposure that the drug was approved based upon. And you see here a response rate of more than 2/3 of the patients. Interestingly, for the treatment naive patients, 85% response rate with good durability. And I think this is a new standard of care for RET rearranged cancer. HER2 is another few percent of adenocarcinoma. We've had a number of efforts to drug HER2 that have had different levels of success, but we have a new agent presented at ASCO that I find very exciting. TDXD is an antibody drug conjugate. What that means in plainer English is that an antibody against the target is used as a smart bomb to deliver a toxic payload. How did it work? The data we saw at ASCO from this non-randomized study, the extra dotted lines here are just confidence intervals, shows a median progression-free survival of 14 months and survival not reached. This is just phase 2 data, but I find it very exciting looking forward. At what cost of side effects? I love that they put the low-grade events in Carolina blue and the severe effects in Duke blue, but that cheesy joke aside, we can see that they look like chemotherapy. It looks like the effects of the toxic linker. And while I would say these are very real side effects, this might be more favorable than the chemotherapy that it would compete with. Looking forward, I'm very excited to see data about the KRAS drugs. There are 2 coming down the pike, one from Amgen, one from Mirati. We've seen some preliminary data that looks exciting. This is a really important target because unlike EGFR, which is 15% of adenocarcinoma, or ALK, which is 4%, or ROS1, which gets down to 2%, the KRAS isoforms taken together make up 25% of adenocarcinoma of the lung. Additionally, they affect a variety of other human cancers, most notably the GI cancers. And so there's a tremendous potential if these can be accurately drugged, and I believe we have some hints that they can be. And I'll end my talk, as I like to end my GRACE talks, with a cute kid slide. If they want to be cancer researchers, they had to graduate preschool first, and now they are headed off next week to virtual kindergarten. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you again for joining us. This podcast was made possible by the generosity of sponsorship from our friends at Lilly, Novartis, Takeda, AstraZeneca, and Exelixis. Please like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Send us feedback, share your story, donate and visit us for more information at cancergrace.org. Thank you for listening.